College football is shifting from blowouts to tight matchups. Here's why it matters. 2 weeks ago, the sport was dominated by lopsided wins. But now, the conversation has turned to parity, narrow margins, and unexpected upsets. This week's games promise to test the resilience of top teams and challenge fans to rethink what makes a championship contender. But here's where it gets controversial. The NFL-style dominance of powerhouse programs may be fading. In Week 5 of the Football Bowl subdivision, the average winning margin was just 14.2 points, a stark contrast to the 2022 season, when the closest games were 12.5 points apart. For the first time since 2016, 3 top 5 teams, Penn State, LSU, Georgia, lost on the same week, signaling a breakdown in the traditional power structure. This isn't just about luck. Top 5 teams have struggled against lower-ranked opponents, posting a 1-4 record against teams ranked 6-25, a worst performance since at least 2000. Even in games between top 25 teams, the higher-ranked team has only won 3 out of 12 matchups. As Penn State coach James Franklin put it, "You have to do everything you can to position yourself for the playoffs." His team, which lost to Oregon in overtime, used the week's setbacks to remind players that their goals remain unchanged. Let's break down this week's key matchups. Ohio State versus Minnesota. The Buckeyes' defense has allowed just 5.5 points per game, while the Gophers have scored 17 touchdowns but struggled against FBS opponents. Ohio State's QB, Julian Sayin, is finding his rhythm, making them a 35-10 favorite. Miami versus Florida State. A QB matchup between Carson Beck and Tommy Castellanos, but Miami's rushing attack, led by Mark Fletcher Jr., could dominate. FSU's rushing stats are inflated by weak schedules, giving Miami the edge. Oklahoma versus Kent State. Oklahoma's QB Michael Hawkins, stepping in after surgery, faces a favorable opponent. The Sooners are a 55-7 favorite. Texas A&M versus Mississippi State. A&M's running back Le'Veon Moss is breaking through against SEC defenses. While MSU needs Fluff Bothwell to step up, A&M is favored 27-20. Penn State versus UCLA. The Nittany Lions, who lost to Oregon, should dominate UCLA, which gives up the most yards in the Big Ten. Penn State is a 48-14 favorite. Texas versus Florida. Texas QB Arch Manning has time to adjust after his struggles, but Florida's defense is holding up. Texas is a 23-19 pick. Texas Tech versus Houston. Tech's new defensive coordinator has built a strong unit. While Houston's QB Baron Morton returns, Tech is favored 44-21. Georgia versus Kentucky. Georgia has allowed 45 points in the first half twice, but their defense is elite. Georgia is a 38-14 favorite. Iowa State versus Cincinnati. Iowa State's pass coverage is a concern, but their offense is strong. They're favored 31-28. Alabama versus Vanderbilt. Alabama's history of upsets looms, but Vanderbilt's offense is explosive. Alabama is a 38-31 pick. Michigan versus Wisconsin. Michigan's run defense is formidable, but they face a tough test. Michigan is a 30-14 favorite. Notre Dame versus Boise State. Notre Dame's scoring streak continues, but Boise State is back in the spotlight. Notre Dame is a 45-17 favorite. Louisville versus Virginia. A strength versus strength battle, with Louisville's defense and Virginia's offense. Louisville is favored 30-24. Illinois versus Purdue. Illinois' pass protection is a weakness, but Purdue's QB has been inconsistent. Illinois is a 45-42 pick. BYU versus West Virginia. BYU's defense is dominant, while West Virginia's scoring is low. BYU is a 31-10 favorite. The bye weeks for teams like Oregon, LSU, and Georgia add complexity to the standings. Overall, the AP predictions show a 13-3 straight-up accuracy last week, but the spread betting is less reliable. So what does this mean for the season? Is this a sign of a more competitive league or a warning that the traditional power structure is crumbling? Share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think the real story is?